Hello everyone. Wanted to share a project I just finished up and it's a pretty cool little project. You know, I came across a BLI Plymouth switcher here. It's a little 6-wheel model of it. Very well detailed, I have to say. You know, all things considered, it's a beautiful little model. The model originally came with a motor and light only decoder. It didn't have sound, and you know what? I like sound. I want sound in all my locomotives. I think that's just an added dimension that's worthwhile. So what to do? There really wasn't a lot of room in this machine. Just to put it in perspective, let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy adjacent to, there we go. How do you like that? This is an Atlas SD24 side by side with the Plymouth switcher, the critter. You can see how much smaller it is. I put them in front of each other, and again you can see it's quite a difference in size. So I wanted to do something to get some sound in here. I'll see if I can merge in some photos here so you can see what's going on. Opened up the unit. The machine had its decoder located in a pocket underneath the cab, basically hidden underneath here. I found this was a good place to route wires from the pickups into the cab. I did end up using the cab. Would have been nice to keep that all clean, but I couldn't really do that. I used a sugar cube speaker. Here's a picture of the sugar cube speaker. I built up a frame of plastic strip. Once that was completed, I installed it into the roof of the cab. I had a little cutout because there's a light bar that cuts across here that we had to avoid. Use some poster putty to seal the speaker enclosure up against the cab roof, and surprisingly enough, the sugar cube speaker puts out a ton of sound. Then for solving the power pickup problem, you know, the decoder that it came with, it didn't have any kind of capacitance on it. So what we ended up doing is putting in an MRC 1717 decoder, and I wanted to put some kind of a keep alive, some kind of a stay alive capacity on it. So there's a number of articles out there on railroad blogs where what you do is you look for the diode bridge on the decoder. When you look for the diodes, they're usually the big black boxes, if you will, on one end of the decoder where the track power comes in. Using a voltmeter, you can carefully discern what part of the diode bridge each of the diodes comprises of. Usually the blue wire will lead you to the positive output of the diode bridge, and so you work it backwards and you can find then the negative. I soldered with a relatively hot iron very quickly, a very small wire off the negative. I'm sure this voided the warranty, but it lets me now have positive and negative power to the decoder. Now in terms of how much capacitance you really need, I'm finding about 1,000 microfarad is good. Gives you about half to maybe a quarter to half a second of drive time on a model. Doesn't sound like much, but usually that's enough for the locomotive to get over a dead spot. And then with these leads, went ahead and started installing it into the model. If we look back here on the model closely, you can see, let's see if I can zoom in on this. Try to do it so that it focuses. Up here you can see the speaker is in the upper half. It's tucked up against the roof. You can see the edge of the 1770 decoder kind of popping up through the cab roof. Most of the cab though is pretty empty. A little bit of wiring peeked through here. If you look on the end, you can see through it, which is kind of a nice feature. I think that adds a lot. And I was able to retain the little engineer doing his thing. Again, you can kind of see through the cab. So that gives the feeling of an open space. The decoder actually runs along the front edge across the width of the locomotive here, the cab, and it's down low, so you don't really see it for the most part. It's below the window line, and then the capacitor kind of sits in the middle again, below the window line. All in all, it came together pretty well. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take the model out onto the layout and give it a try. Okay, position the unit in the yard. This yard's comprised of number 6 Atlas switches. These are dead frog switches. So lots of opportunity for things to stall, especially on a short wheelbase locomotive like this. But remember, we put in that 1000 microfarad capacitor. And let's go ahead and run it. I'll go ahead and start up the sound here. Little bell. Get the light going there. I love it. Love it. And a little critter like this. Okay, let's go ahead and go. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about motor control here. So I'm on speed step 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Look how many ties per second we're talking here. It probably looks faster in the video then. If you saw this in real life, you'd say, man, it's just barely moving. It's because the unit is so small. If I go to 1, I think it stops. I haven't set the minimum voltage speed steps yet, but okay, that's 1. 0. 1. 2. Look at that. Okay, notice that this has the EMD sound. Maybe we can all write letters to MRC and say, go ahead and make a critter sound, because this thing is perfect to fit into critters. And if we can get some Whitcomb or GE or some sort of a appropriate sound, although this isn't bad, this will work. Love the horn. Pretty good, pretty realistic bell too. So there you have it. Cool little project. Cheers.